Welcome to the Tail Slate. I'm Ben Stacey, and I'm here with Melissa D'Agostino and Matt Campagna, and we are talking about a film that came out a little while ago, but we all, I think, enjoyed, and that's Star Trek Beyond.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thoughts?
I liked it a lot.
It was the best of the JJ verse, or
Yes.
the Kelvin verse. As far as I'm concerned, best of the three so far.
Yeah, I found it thrilling. I found like from beginning to end, I was riveted by the story and the acting and the characters. I loved Jayla. I loved that character.
Oh yeah, she was really good. Yeah.
So great. They got everything right, I think.
And it started going right from the beginning. Like there was no messing around.
Yeah.
They were into story right away.
Yeah, and they have a tendency in these films for the very first scene to be this big, crazy, like Star Trek-y scene. And I like the way that pattern plays out because the movies that the original cast had, they had the benefit of the TV show behind them.
Yeah.
But I like that the opening of at least 2 and 3 both feel like Star Trek episodes. And the fact that the Star Trek episode at the beginning of Star Trek Into Darkness was not related to the rest of the film bothered me. This one was essential, and yet it was so cute and weird and fun.
Yeah.
And I just thought it felt like Star Trek, and then I ripped my shirt again. The homage to the classic that happens right down to the destruction of the Enterprise in film number 3. Like they're just keeping the patterns going, and I think that homage is way better than trying to bring Khan in Star Trek 2 just because it's Star Trek 2. And this time around, it was nicely done. Still premature. Like you don't kill her before her first 5-year mission's up.
Yeah, that's true. That annoyed me because they did it in the Next Generation movies too. Got rid of the Enterprise.
But she at least had a 7-year mission.
And exactly, and at least you had a little bit of emotional attachment to it. But then they destroyed another one of the newer ones in the Next Generation movies. And you're like, well, I'll give it crap.
Yeah. They just keep smoking these ships.
So yeah,
isn't that really expensive? That's like destroying an aircraft carrier every 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they find a way. They find a way to make it work.
Yeah, it's a good thing that the Federation doesn't need money because that's so expensive.
Now, it's interesting. You kind of mentioned, and I've heard other people talk about this too. Is this felt more like a Star Trek episode than some big movie, and that I think is to its benefit. In fact, my favorite of the Next Generation movies was the one with the people that sort of live forever, or they had the, and
Insurrection.
Was that Insurrection?
Yeah. Really?
Yeah,
you like
because that
Insurrection the
felt
best?
more like an episode to me than some of the other ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's quite true. I mean,
Yeah.
it was definitely a less epic story, Star Trek Insurrection. I mean, it was kind of beautiful the way that the characters. This is turning into an Insurrection review, but it was beautiful the way that the characters came back around in the end, and I feel like that very much happened in Beyond, where this Krall character, which spoiler alert. This Krall character winds up slowly turning back into who he truly is, which is this PTSD soldier of the Federation who is handed a command after basically fighting the Xindi and fighting the Romulans. He's a man for battle. Yeah. And then he's given this role of exploration, and he just loses his mind when he's left to his own device. Yeah. I think it was like really relevant, and in the way that Into Darkness tried to be relevant, it just was like hitting you over the head with this post 9/11 stuff.
Yeah.
But this one was more about people and PTSD and trauma, and I thought that was just a beautiful story.
Well, and even I felt like in this one the relationships were nuanced, and you got like Kirk and Spock, like just the beauty of that relationship. You really felt it, even though they weren't in the same kind of crisis they were in the second one. I actually felt it worked so much better. It really brought them together, and I loved the arc of the film. And
Spock and Bones together having those moments that just made it work so well.
Yeah.
I really feel like, Simon Pegg was one of the writers on this film, and I really feel like, Scotty, you nailed it. This is what it should be, and I'm sad that he's so far not brought on for Star Trek 4 yet.
Oh, really?
So, they want to bring Chris Hemsworth in for Star Trek 4 so they can have George Kirk and James T. Kirk together because they're both stars. I don't know if that'll help. I mean, every Star Trek movie has made less money pretty much than the one before and has cost more than the one before. So this one just made its money back and it's been 3 weeks, I think.
Something like that.
I hope filmmakers and actually studios really, I hope they can really remember and start to invest in story and character, because that is what makes the film not the star who's in it.
Yeah.
Unless the star who's in it is also a fantastic actor who suits that part.
Yep.
But if you're just gonna try and put the star in, it just feels like the wrong.
Yeah, like I said, if it works story-wise, if they can come up with a good story to make it work, that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Which is actually what I was thinking about Idris Elba at first. I was like, why is this guy under so much makeup? This is such a bad choice. And then by Act 2, I was like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah,
and then what they did with Idris Elba's character makes him, to me, one of the great Star Trek villains of all time.
I also feel like you should put Idris Elba in everything. Like, that's just how I feel about that.
Just a dash of Idris Elba makes everything better.
That's
Now,
right.
I was surprised at the end there was some surprisingly emotional bits. I don't know if you remember the bit where Spock pulls out the photo he was given from old Spock, and it's the old crew. It's like, oh my God, I'm tearing up a bit, you know?
Yeah.
And then also, there was a scene, unintentionally emotional, I think, where they're sort of toasting at the end, and the camera pans across Anton Yelchin.
That was actually re-edited after
was
Anton died, because that's such a heartbreaking, terrible thing. You can tell the film was designed to commemorate Leonard Nimoy. And then the tragedy that it's also now needing to commemorate the youngest member of the Star Trek crew, because he died tragically after they filmed it. And so they decided, okay, this is his last moment. We're going to give him this because we loved him and he's gone. And I hope that the wacky, crazy coincidence that Jayla is now a member of the Federation, or at least a member of Starfleet, I
Yes.
hope that turns into Jayla is now on the bridge.
Oh, that'd be nice,
let's
yeah.
get her
Yep.
in there, because they left out Carol Marcus at the end of Star Trek Into Darkness. She was
that's
like,
right, yeah.
I'm now part of the crew, and then she's gone
Yeah.
in Star Trek
Yeah.
3. And Simon Pegg said that it was because we couldn't figure out where to fit her because she wasn't part of the original crew, so we don't know what to do now.
Yep, no,
But we just lost Anton Yelchin. We just lost Chekhov. There's a hole in the crew now, and we all know it.
Yeah.
So it's time to fill that hole, because they've already said they are not recasting Chekhov.
And that's good, I think.
Yeah, agreed.
So let's bring in more Jayla.
Yay.
There we go. Our thoughts on Star Trek Beyond. We all liked it. I hope you did too.